Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of The Mule. Clint Eastwood is back at it again. And I have to say, I thought the trailers for this film actually looked really good. This seemed like Eastwood back in the saddle. However, the 1517 to Paris pretty much dashed my confidence in Clint Eastwood as a filmmaker, if I'm being honest. Now, that's not to negate his past work and the great cinema he has created, directed, starred in, produced, all of that fun jazz. However, it's getting up there. He's done some weird, questionable stuff politically as well, talking to empty chairs and all this kind of business. I thought maybe Father Time had completely caught up to him. But let's go ahead and check out The Mule. It looks like a really solid film. Let's give Eastwood a chance to redeem himself. And that he did. I think The Mule is a very solid flick. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, Clint Eastwood himself is a positive as both an actor and a director here. I think he gave a very solid performance as this regretful older man who is sucked into an unfortunate circumstance due to unfortunate circumstances in his life. Obviously, this seems like a role that Eastwood is molded for, but he pulls it off great. I think he puts in all of the proper emotion and makes this a believable character and one that you sympathize with throughout the entirety of the film, no matter what his character's actually up to. Bradley Cooper is also very good in the film. He's not asked to stretch quite as much. And then Andy Garcia, I didn't even know he was in this movie until I got in there. Hey, this is the third time we're seeing Andy Garcia this year. Again, a solid performance. He's not asked to do as much. But also, a big shout out to Diane Weist. I don't think she gets enough work, and I think she was really, really good in this film. She is a definite standout walking out of the theater. I thought her performance was really fantastic. So layered, so wonderful to just see. Every scene she's in, she is really eye-catching. She's just wonderful here. And the family dynamic in general was really good. It added that layer of motivation for Eastwood's character that was desperately needed. Otherwise, it seems like, oh, why would this person ever fall into this? Kind of like law-abiding citizen. But we definitely needed these type of family elements to give it the proper motivation that we needed for the movie to work. And I think the emotional stuff at the end of the film hit. I think it hit well enough. You don't get overly devastated by any means. I don't think it is Oscar-worthy writing, directing, or acting when we get into those moments. But they achieve the intended effect overall. I also think the movie is suspenseful. It works as a crime drama really, really well. The cartel aspects of the film work well, and they do a really good job of creating this character so that we care for him. We don't want to see him go down in a ball of flame. So as the cops are searching, of course, you want the drug cartel to get taken down, but you don't want to see this older man who we've grown fond of go down. So they do a great job of creating that counterbalance, and in turn have this like exhilarating conflict every time we're like on the hunt for the mule. Every time Eastwood is out on that road, it's like, don't get hurt from either which way. So what does not work as well when it comes to the mule? Well, I've mentioned a lot of things that it does well. However, I think it's just missing that extra push. I think it does all of these things good, and as I've said, well. However, it doesn't really do anything great. It doesn't do anything exceptional. And that's really the main fault of the film. The direction is fine, it's not great. The writing is all fine, but it's not great. The emotional impacts hit well enough, but they're not going to get the tears. Coming out of the film, there's just a dissonance. There's a little bit of a missing link. To walk out, think that was a good, solid film, but definitely not one I'm going to be considering or even remembering come the end of the year. And that's definitely a problem when it comes to a film like this. These are ones that really need to grab you and stick with you, and it just doesn't quite do that. And I also had a little bit of a problem with this idea of, well, that's just how older people are. Clint Eastwood says some offensive stuff, and they kind of call him out on it in the film itself. But in the end, it's still kind of played off like, oh, well, you people are just too sensitive now. Because we treat him reacting to people getting offended the same as we treat him reacting to young people at large. And of course, you're going to have the whole texting and young people in their phones or young people not being able to operate outside of their phones. And that's all well and good. But when it gets down to calling black people Negroes and, oh, it's always nice to help you all Negroes out when you're on the side of the road, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Again, this is only very loosely inspired by a real person. We didn't need to include this at all, honestly. And it wasn't really necessary. It didn't add any sort of growth to his character. And it just made his character look bad, honestly. Because his reaction was just like, okay, okay, ha ha ha. Which, you young people can't change a tire and you take offense to the word, ha ha ha. It's like, oh no, no, old man. You need to be able to adjust. The way you lived back then and the terminologies you used don't quite fly. And they put him in all of these scenarios. You would get to points of feeling uncomfortable as he talked like this Spanish slang to all of these people. And, you know, we got to the point of comfortability, but sometimes you're like, okay, there's a difference between, you know, kooky old person and like racist old person that maybe is slightly more accepting in their old age. But overall, I think that The Mule is a solid film. It is entertaining for what it is, and it at least definitely redeemed Eastwood as a filmmaker after a pretty big misstep earlier this year. So overall, I would give The Mule a solid rental. There's nothing in here really that says you need to go out and see it at the movie theater. I don't know that it warrants that theatric experience, but it's one that I think is really worthy of checking out. So once it hits Redbox, it's definitely worth the money and the time of renting it and giving this one a watch. So that is my review of The Mule. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The Mule, or have you already seen it? If you have, what were your thoughts on the film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!